It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very fun get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. I certainly did get my ass kicked more times than not. Man, I'll tell you what. There's two things I really got to work on Jiu-Jitsu, really. I mean, I need to work on all of it, really. But the one thing that really hangs me up is trying to take the back. I think this is why I concentrate mostly on like arm bars and arm triangles and stuff like that, is because taking the back is kind of weird for me. It's just an odd position. But I don't know. I'm definitely going to have to work on it. But that's a little bit of what we did today. Was doing the passing of the keep, or keeping of the guard, or the passing of the guard, one of the two. And honestly, I got my guard passed, but you know, that's just how it is. You know, the person that was directing it we were playing King of the Mat, which is, we had 4 people in the middle of the classroom, or on the mat, in the middle of the mat, and we had a line of people. And the line of people had to pair off with the people that were in the middle of the mat and try and beat them in a game of pass keep. One of the difficulties I had with this was that the person in the middle got to determine exactly the conditions of battle, and I didn't win until the very, very last one, where I was paired up against this one gentleman, and I did manage to get a sweep. And the rules of it overall were that if you passed somebody's guard and you weren't in the middle, then you got to be the person in the middle. If you got a sweep or a submission, same thing. But the person in the middle, they got to determine the conditions of combat, so you can like start in a specific position if you wanted to. But overall, they had to either sweep or pass the guard or submit in order to stay in. Well, like I said, I didn't pass anybody's guard until the very end, and I got it with the sweep. And that one was kind of interesting. I'm really glad that I've been working a little bit of De La Riva stuff, because it helped me out there, right? Even though I had my feet in the wrong position, I still managed to get the sweep, and that would have put me in the middle. But unfortunately, that was about where that ended. But you know, I definitely need to be spending way more time in the gym, because it seems like if I get both my run and a little bit of time on the rowing machine before I get into the gym, I always feel like I'm a little more together. You know, it's like the running gets my lower body, and the rowing machine really gets my upper body, and gets me really warmed up. You know, otherwise what ends up happening is, like, I'll get in the first match, and if the person that I'm rolling against, if my opponent is exerting a lot of energy or a lot of strength, I tend to burn out really, really quick. And it only seems like the times when I've had an opportunity to run and do the rowing machine before I've gone in, where I'm calm enough to get through that first one without really giving it all up. And I don't know, my head's a lot more together. So it's definitely something where I definitely have to get all that time in, you know, at least like 10-15 minutes worth of warm-up before I even go to the gym, and then do another warm-up. It just, like I said, it seems to really help out in getting my body, like, keened to it, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sure those of you who have been trading have been having a fantastic day, and I'm very happy for you. I've been doing I'm doing okay. I'm not losing a lot of money, which is good. You know, it always feels good to make money, right? But yeah, it's been an interesting day with regard to the old cryptocurrencies. And so if you've been trading and making money, congratulations, good on you. Thank you for being around, waiting until we actually got to the other side of the valley. It does feel like we might actually have gotten there. We've had a kind of a fake pump like this one other time. And you know, they get people really excited because, of course, nobody really likes losing money. And, you know, when you're looking at that chart and you're looking at the book and it's not really moving all that much, it's not terribly exciting. But, you know, you get a little movement and brings a little joy to everybody's heart. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And I do have some new stuff today. I got some Iron Maiden. I got some, I think it's Irreversible Mechanic or something, or Irreversible Motion or something to that effect. Mechanism. There we go. I got that. And, yeah, I got some other stuff too. I got some Probot. And I got some more Ministry. Let's start it off with a little bit of this Irreversible Mechanism. And as far as our first song goes, or first dance, let's go for Simulacra. It sounds like it's going to be good. And from what I sampled of this, I got to say I've been terribly impressed with it. Enjoy. First dance, Simulacra by Irreversible Mechanism here on Coin Metal. And that was Indestructible by Disturbed. As far as where we're going to go today, I got all kinds of stuff open as far as tabs goes. I mean, we could just sit here and talk about how the fucking market has finally recovered after all these months, but I don't think that's anything that you don't already know, especially if you're listening to this show. Anywho, but yeah, let's see what we can get into here. I got a couple things here. This is the one that, like, I kind of fell over laughing when I heard this. And it's mostly because our competition has been fiat currencies primarily. And, damn it, my program's glitching out on me. I'm going to end up getting a new program here pretty soon. But, you know, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's just software. But anyway, like I was saying, this article caught me because our primary competition in cryptocurrencies is, of course, fiat currencies, and because of that, it's kind of funny when they have issues with regard to their systems, and I'm talking about any fiat currency out there. And this one, here we go. It's on thebitcoinist.com, and this is by Georgiev. So yes, penis. April 2nd, 2019 at 1300 hours. No indication of time zone. Bad, Georgie, bad. Federal Reserve System briefly goes down as Bitcoin boasts 99.98% uptime. Federal Reserve FedWire goes down. According to several users on different social media, FedWire, the real-time gross settlement system, owned and operated by the 12 Federal Reserve banks in the U.S., went off for a few minutes today, April 2nd. One of the users has taken the matter to Reddit, detailing the following. Today, the United States Federal Reserve experienced an unexpected issue and went completely down. No incoming or outgoing wires went through in the entire country. It's still unresolved, and yet no one single news outlet seems to be reporting on this and the massive impact it has. And dude, you're talking about fucking billions of dollars, or at least millions. According to the official website that monitors the current status of these services provided by the Federal Reserve, FedWire funds has since been enabled. However, an Instagram user managed to screenshot the status page at the time when it was off. And it looks like FedWire funds was down, and so is National Settlement. What is FedWire funds? FedWire is the system for real-time gross settlement of central bank money used to electronically settle U.S. dollar payments amongst its members. The system is owned and also operated by the 12 Federal Reserve banks in the U.S. However, it is a massive network for payment processing in between the member banks as well as other institutions which participate. These include American branches of foreign banks, depository financial institutions, and so forth. To get a sense of what the massive scale of its the massive scale of its operations, FedWire has processed upwards of $2.8 trillion on a daily basis in January 2019. In comparison, Bitcoin transferred upwards of $3.2 trillion for the entirety of 2018. Why does it matter? FedWire Funds plays a crucial role in processing payments between member banks throughout the entire country. As such, while being offline, transactions were reportedly delayed or failed. Let me do something really quick here, get us a little ambiance. Just a little bit. That's a little too much ambiance, but there we go. FedWire plays a crucial role in processing payments between member banks throughout the entire country. As such, while being offline, transactions were reportedly delayed or failed. The user who brought up the Reddit thread mentioned above explains the severity of the issues associated with FedWire's downtime. Quote, I work in a job that requires wire transfers, and all wires were not sent or received after about noon/1ish West Coast time. I assume most people weren't as aware because of the typical cutoff time anyway, but we had several deals today that couldn't be completed because none of the banks could send us money and we couldn't send out any out either. Will we ever learn? While there doesn't appear to be an explanation for FedWire's recently reported downtime, it's just another example of the issues with centralized systems. This is not the first time it happened, as Visa and Wells Fargo had experienced issues of the same kind in the past. However, it does seem like if things don't change, we're likely to see more of the same. Decentralization could solve a lot of the vulnerabilities that are inherent to centralized systems and single points of failure. It's perhaps problems like this that further highlight the strength of Bitcoin, which up to current date boasts 99.9835% uptime since its inception. What do you think of FedWire reportedly going down? Don't hesitate to let us know in the comments below. And are there any? Let's see. No comments. Oh my god, I'm amazed. I would expect people to be gloating like a motherfucker, especially today with Bitcoin being up to, it's currently still over $5,000, which is pretty fucking cool. Anyway, yeah, FedWire goes down. I clicked on a couple other links on this, and let's see if we can find the original Reddit. Let's see here. Let's see if this is it. Oh no, this is Fiber. Oh no, that's just the Federal Reserve's page. Let's see. Sweet Lady says, update, of course, after several hours of being down, approximately noon Pacific Standard Time, it came up within 15 minutes of me posting. Now I look like a crazy person. I swear it happened. Severely impacted my work today. I was going to say, and then Twistoffer says, I was going to say, quote, is there some part of the site I'm not seeing? Looks green across the board. Sweet Lady H says again, I feel so stupid, LOL. I worked late because of it, and then finally got a moment to get online and see if I could find a news article, and was shocked to find there were none. So I came here to post about it, and bam, fixed. 7 hours later. Maybe my post fixed it. Intel USA says, I got you back. And let's see here. And this is a tweet, apparently. Ricky Leahy says in a tweet, "Why is the Federal Reserve not processing bank wires nationwide today?" Camille Hackler says, "I'm wondering the same thing." Topher Nugent says, "Was hoping to find news on this, but nothing. Not sure what's going on, but it's fishy." Ricky Laney heard it will go into tomorrow morning. Federal Reserve is currently experiencing quote-unquote an issue. Anon in OC says, "It's pretty bad. Surprised no news is picked up." Dude, you know what? They were probably experiencing like some major DDoS attack or some shit like that. And they're not really eager to brag about that. You know, it's like, yes, we're getting hacked right now. By the way, all the US dollars in your pocket are frozen. They're probably worth more than gold because you can't transmit them digitally. Sad day when the central bank, you know, and this is the danger that's really represented by this whole Lightning Network bullshit. I mean, because imagine the hub operator, for whatever reason, like either their transaction gets hacked, you know, the initiating transaction gets hacked on the blockchain, or you know, some other fuck up like that, and all of the liquidity and all of the transactions that are tied up in that payment channel, they just go fuck off somewhere. And all the goods and services that were exchanged, too fucking bad. Oh well. Hope you enjoyed it, you know. Yeah, this is a danger of doing the whole off-chain bullshit. I mean, because in this schema, you've got the Federal Reserve system at the center of it. You know, and in the Lightning Network business, you could have either Lightning Labs or one of the third-party service providers that's using Lightning. And again, if the Federal Reserve can't keep their systems up 100% of the time, what makes you think that this new, even for cryptocurrencies, new implementation of cryptocurrencies has stands a chance? I mean, now of course, people have had a lot of time to construct attacks and really think them out and go at the Federal Reserve. However, the only reason I think that we haven't seen a greater number of attacks or issues with regard to Lightning is there's simply not enough money involved right now. And what money there is involved is so dispersed and so diffuse that it's really not worth it to go after unless you're hitting like one of these third-party service providers. And it's really funny, if you read their terms of service, they all tell you, if your funds get fucked up, sorry, too fucking bad. It doesn't matter if you can track them back to us in one of our wallets, too bad. This is all experimental. If your fund, if it goes bad, too bad. That's what they all say. If you read down into their terms of service, that is exactly what they say. They go to great lengths to explain away any kind of liability or give you some excuse why they shouldn't be liable in the event that they fuck up and lose your money or steal your money. One of the two. And I think it's really sad because if people were to take them to court for it, that's exactly the kind of thing that they would run into. It'd be like, oh, well, hey, you signed up for this knowing that they could just light a torch to your funds. So, yeah, you're in no better position than if you were trusting the Federal Reserve, if you're trusting another third party to conduct your business in crypto. That is the warning that I'm trying to communicate to you here. But the thing that is the most surprising about this subject is the fact that the news has not reported it at all. So, I mean, I would expect, you know, this fuck up, you know, we're talking about something in the order of hours. How much business do you think they do in hours? We're talking about billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of transactions that aren't settling because their stuff is under some sort of DDoS attack or some other hack or some accounting error. Somebody fat-fingered something. Yeah. Let's see what else these comments have to say. I'm still on the Reddit page for this. Let's see. Raining Fire in the Sky says, "You really sure about this and that this was system-wide? There are no news articles. Plus, I work for a very, very large bank, and this would have been very, very large shit show that would have set off risk alarms everywhere. I assure you, I'd still be at work instead of sitting on my couch surfing Reddit." Edit. To put things in perspective, the FedWire system moves close to $3 trillion every day. An outage does not go unnoticed. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't. Raining. But the thing is that it wasn't just this person that was communicating this. There's a whole fucking Twitter thread about it. So, chances are that, yeah, it was experienced and multiple people experienced it. And let's see here. And Raining goes on to say, I probably can't convince you, but I suspect either your company or your individual bank had an issue. I assure you I would have known if there was a wide-scale outage of FedWire. Edit, just saw an alert posted in this thread that says, quote, some customers reported issues. Let's see, Sweet Lady follows up with, someone posted links of a few screenshots and info on it somewhere on this thread. Edit, that sounded rude, LOL. I was multitasking. Please don't think I'm an asshole. Let's see, BTC Throwaway 1 says, this is good for Bitcoin. Yep. Sweet Lady says, but terrible for the housing market. If that collapses again, we're fucked. That's kind of a foregone conclusion, girl. I'm sorry. BTC Throwaway 1 says, one day of bank transfers going down isn't going to collapse the housing market. They will process when it's fixed. Yeah, that's true. Sweet Lady H says, but it's the idea that it could become a bigger problem. It was a moment of realization today that if our wire system went down, how would it impact a lot of transactions? Absolutely, Sweet Lady. I couldn't agree more. And then BTC Throwaway follows up with, hence the need for a distributed peer-to-peer payment network. If there is one called Bitcoin that was created to reduce the risk of another 2008 collapse. Yes, absolutely. Oh, I think there was one. Yes. Yes, there was. Oh, let's see here. I want to see if there's a little more depth to this. Let's see. Havana Manhattan says, who is fucked? The people with no houses, the people who can't afford them. From the 90s on, baby boomers and banks have colluded in one form or another to keep house prices artificially high. The boomers think they'll retire off selling their homes, but they priced younger generations out of the market in many places. Banks don't let them get bailed out again, break them up. No matter what, the people at the bottom will still find a way to survive, and people will still find places to live because they have no choice. The people who get fucked, lose everything, help to do it themselves. If stocks crash, so be it. It's make-believe money generated by con artists. They'll starve, and the people who can barter will thrive. Yeah! That's the truth right there. Let's see. Dude, relax. The world will... BTC Throwaway says, dude, relax. At the end of the world will take more than a bank failure on April Fool's Day. Guess what? 2008 was also fantastic. I could finally buy my first home because of it. Yeah, you were probably shorting this shit, too. And Havana Manhattan followed up with, yep, I was 28, paid off my college loans, was ready to buy a house, then gas hit $4. I got laid off and stayed that way for most of 2 years. Life fell apart, moved in with grandmother, eventually taking care of her. got a manual labor job for years, struggled, survived, etc. I say burn it all down. Break up the banks, universal health care, tax billionaires, stop letting the casino that we call the stock market dictate life. The housing market fell apart because of reckless financial gambling. True. The banks should have been broken up then and there. We could have taken their bailout money and the government could have bought the mortgages on all of those homes, letting people stay and still own homes. Instead, money was given to the people who caused the mess, and they sat on it for years, failing to reinvest, while one political party let the people bleed slowly via obstructionism for their own game. I'm done with that. Let it all fall down. Yeah. You know, a lot of people did suffer through that. You know, my own parents, you know, they'd scrimped and saved and invested their entire lives. And one fucking trading asshole, you know, if I'd have been managing their finances back then, they'd have been much better off than the guy that they left in charge of it. Unfortunately, things happen the way they do, and they lost virtually everything that they had earned because of this asshole. Now, I guarantee you, his top-tier clients, which we were not a top-tier client, you know, his top-tier clients, I'm sure they got out with at least some of their money, if not all of their money and then some, but not my old man, no. So, you know, it's not like that largesse that a few people made off of that tragedy didn't impact people negatively, because it impacted a lot of people negatively. I mean, you really got to fuck up the economy in order for people to try and create their own money. And Bitcoin is a direct result of the 2008-2009 financial quagmire fuck up. Or 2007, 2008, around in there. It's really funny. People don't talk about the Tea Party movement anymore. But when the Tea Party movement started, it had absolutely nothing to do with neocons. It had absolutely nothing to do with just being white. It had to do with people all over the place on tax day just saying, you know what, we're not going to pay our taxes because you're just going to fucking give it to these guys. You're just going to give it to these bankers. Where's my bailout? And when it first started, it was gatherings of people of all color, all stripes, all political sides, whatever. They're just Americans. And they were pissed at their government for treating them the way that they had. And the response was that the media painted them all to be white racists. And the fucking neocons seized onto it, and all of a sudden they're not only white, they're Christians. And they're hardline Christians at that. And they're pro-war. Now, how does that happen, you wonder? How does a grouping of Americans gathering at their post offices, their local post offices, because that was the representation of federal government in their community, and protesting income tax day? How did that turn into some practically neo-Nazi group in the media? You have to keep this shit in mind. This is a game that has been played on you and around you your entire lives. And many of us just don't have enough time to pay attention to it. But, you know, people are altering the words and giving them new definitions and new context to talk about them. And, you know, it's like Bitcoin. You know, when we were first talking about Bitcoin, we only mentioned blockchain in the sense of where the Bitcoin transactions settle. But if you look at the way that the media spun it, shit, the blockchain is the underlying technology. It's a new type of database, dude. But it's not just a database that one entity has the right to make entries into. And that is probably the bigger difference that of course we can just look over when we're talking about cryptocurrencies in the context of a quote-unquote blockchain. Because there are, of course, projects out there that don't require any miners. And those have a quote-unquote blockchain. And because we have those two entities, you know, both publicly mined currencies and non-permissioned ledgers being counted under the same rubric, under the same definition, under the same context, we can make the laws that apply to one apply to both, despite the major differences that make them different. And this is a point that I think that most governments keep running into, is that they want to draw up regulations for them. They really, really do. They want your money. They want to find an excuse to steal your money. However, there's no means for them to actually execute that. In the instance where you decide to be non-compliant with them, there are currently no handles on cryptocurrencies where they could just like reach in, grab the handle, and yank the money out of your wallet. And that's what they want. And so when we're talking about how we transact cryptocurrencies, that's really the key that they focus on, because that's where they want to put the choke point. You know, that's where they want to put the third-party arbiter between you and the rest and the rest of the network, so that they can apply the toll at that toll bridge. You know, they're trying to create a toll bridge in a system designed specifically not to work or not to need toll bridges. And so this is a game. You know, they look at all the little facts about Bitcoin, and as far as who the they is, I couldn't fucking tell you. Probably bankers, probably existing government entities, where they look at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and they're like, okay, well, you know, how do we get this so that we can steal it from the people? And that's really what they're working on right now, is, you know, how do we winnow it into channels where we can enforce our will over the people? And in my mind, that's really where things like Ripple and things like Lightning Network fit in, because there is a third-party arbiter in those designs. You know, and I mean, most people, when we were looking at Ripple to begin with, it was kind of a given that it was like, you know, that's like that thing is made for banks. Well, so is Lightning. You know, once that third-party arbiter is in there, they can determine the rules of the game. They can determine the conditions of who you're authorized to transact with, and all of a sudden we've taken a permissionless public network and turned it into AOL or Visa or MasterCard, Wells Fargo. And you know, it's sad to me, because you know, it's something like how we've kind of demonized the concept of flight, but we drive around on the ground all day. If you look at the number of accidents in flight versus the number of accidents versus driving, of course there is the differential of the number of people doing it, but I would argue that flying is probably actually safer than driving. And that the fact that we're looking at quote-unquote autonomous vehicles to be on the ground, I mean, I just saw something the other day, and I posted it back to Elon, because I feel it should be like a slap in his face. Is, you know, here he is designing these self-driving cars and trying to convince everybody that they need to be in self-driving cars. And this kid, he's like 16, 17 years old, built his own octocopter that he could fly in. And basically it was just a really, really, really big drone with an RC control, and he flew it. Now, why is it that a 17-year-old kid, no fab, no big warehouse full of fucking machinery and all that shit, no global distribution or shipping routes or any of that, no group of scientists behind him, can design himself a flying personal conveyance, but Tesla wants me to drive around in a PC that can get hacked. Why is that? I mean, we live in an age where a bunch of kids just replaced the Federal Reserve and now has a better performance record than the Federal Reserve. We're living in an age where we got computers taking over our cars, and yet kids are able to make flying vehicles. There's like, I don't know, there's a big disconnect here. You know, in my mind, there's a big disconnect. You should be flying. Fuck this shit. You know, I mean, that octocopter, that kid was flying it. There wasn't any AI directing his traffic or anything like that. No, he had the fucking remote control in his hands, and he directed his travel. And he got up to about 60 miles an hour doing it, which I thought was pretty impressive. But the point being that that's where we need to be. You know, there's several regulations and context that we've been fed through the media that says to us, you know, you don't want to fly. You want to be dependent on a gas-driven vehicle for the next century. It's just bullshit. I mean, really, how much longer do you think it'll be before there are 10-year-olds out there making their own flying conveyance? I don't think it's going to be too much longer. There's probably a 10-year-old working in a garage right now, building his own fucking octocopter, and we're going to be driving PCs that can get hacked. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And as far as where to go, you know, I imported this fucking album by Probot, and of course, I've edited the song titles like 3 times now, and for some reason my computer will not save the damn things. But I do have some Gorod in here. And that was another thing that I had added. We've not played before. And it's pretty funky stuff, so let's go with it. Wolfsmond by Gorod, here on Coin Metal. Oh, if it's going to work. It might not work. Oh, there we go. Alright. Let's go. And that was Static X with No Submission. I was going to let Paraman 5000 just continue to roll there, but now we got stuff I want to get into today. And so, let me go ahead and edit this thing really quick here. Official. There we go. Yeah, I guess Static X, they've got somebody playing Wayne Static, and they're doing a tour where they're playing the entirety of Wisconsin Death Trip, which ought to be pretty cool. Hopefully I'll be able to go just sometime, I believe in December, that they'll be going around. There have been rumors as to the identity of who they're going to be replacing Wayne Static with, as if you can actually do that. But having somebody sit in for him because he's unfortunately dead. But yeah, there have been speculations as far as the identity of the person that they're having stand in. Personally, I tend to think that some of the rumors might be correct. I heard that Edsel Dope may be representing Mr. Wayne Static, and if so, that'll be fucking awesome, because I'm sure the man will put on an excellent show, especially as he's doing a tribute to Wayne Static, who was quite revolutionary, I gotta say, man. I mean, if you go back and you listen to Push It, that shit it's ahead of its time. That whole album, Wisconsin Death Trip, if you don't have a copy of it, I would strongly suggest picking one up, because if you like stuff like 9 Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Fear Factory, it's right up your alley. Anyway, as far as what we're going to get into, other than what we've already gotten into, I've got this article here on Forbes in, let's see, this is authored April 3rd, 12 p.m., 12:09 p.m., I guess that is. And this is by Michael Del Castillo. And so, yes, penis. SEC issues first, quote, no action letter to a cryptocurrency business. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has issued its first ever letter assuring investors in a startup using crypto tokens similar to Bitcoin to raise capital that it will not take an enforcement action against the company, and in a separate document explained the rationale behind the decision for future companies. The company that received the precedent-setting letter called the No Action Letter was Turnkey Jets, a startup that offers an all-inclusive private jet service, including the plane, crew, and pilot. Interestingly, the company's website has no mention of a crypto token, which appears to play a role in the actual reservation of the services. In addition to the much-anticipated no-action letter, the SEC's FinHub, established in October 2018 to address issues related to cryptocurrency and other financial innovations, published a lengthy, highly anticipated document explaining its rationale for evaluating such requests. Quote, "It's not binding on the rest of the commission," says Bill Hinman, the SEC's director of the Division of Corporate Finance, but it gives market participants a good idea of how the SEC staff will look at the issue and deal with it. The no action letter includes 6 key points related to Turnkey Jets. Notably, the company has promised not to use any funds from token sales to develop its platform, network, and applications, each of which will be fully developed and operational when the tokens are sold. Also, the tokens will be immediately usable to purchase air charter services when they are sold. Interesting. You may also like, at the time their digital assets are sold, the seller is going to have a fully operational network, says Valerie A. Shispanic, the SEC's senior advisor for digital assets and innovation, who, working with Finman, helped craft the overall digital assets framework. Read the entire letter here, and we will. The conditions, which were presented by Turnkey and are not part of any official request by the SEC, appeared tailored to accusations widely made in the media and elsewhere online against issuers of first-generation initial coin offerings, ICOs, when millions of dollars could be raised with little more than a white paper. Actually, a lot of them didn't even have that. No network, no coin, or white paper. But it didn't matter. People were throwing money at them anyway. Continuing on. In the official 13-page document, also released today, called, quote, Framework for Investment Contract Analysis of Digital Assets, the SEC lays out a detailed explanation of how the existing Howey test, used to determine what is a security, is being applied to digital assets issued on a blockchain. The vast majority of the document details how the SEC views what is considered a reasonable expectation that profits will be derived from the efforts of others, a crucial factor of the test. The most interesting section begins on page 9 with 12 characteristics that, if present, mean the token offering is less likely to pass the Howey test. The first 2 are crucial. Quote, the distributed ledger network and digital asset are fully developed and operational, and holders of the digital asset are immediately able to use it for its intended functionality on the network, particularly where there are built-in incentives to encourage such use. While the SEC has fined numerous individuals in the cryptocurrency space as examples of what not to do, today's news marks the clearest guidance yet about what to do. Decentralization is important, says Hinman, but it's not the only factor. The chief legal advisor of the SEC's FinHub, Jonathan Ingram, who signed the actual no-action letter, says entrepreneurs thinking of issuing a token can contact the regulator via its FinHub website. Quote, "We are open for business," says Ingram, "and we want people to engage with us." Yeah, okay. As far as the SEC is concerned, I don't even think they really need to be paid much attention. As a matter of fact, I've got an article around here somewhere that I had intended to read on Monday. Now let me see if I can actually find that. No. That one's pretty wild though. No. Now let's see here. That's one that we might actually read too, because even though it's kind of old, it applies to what we're talking about. Oh, here we go. This is kind of an indicator of the percentage of actual, like, how should I say it, compliance there is out there. And there was another one I read too, suggesting that a lot of people don't actually report their crypto holdings to the IRS, which I find interesting as well. Especially because they quit talking about it back in like 2015, 2016. I think that was the last kerfuffle the IRS really threw about people making money on cryptocurrencies. They're just like, yeah, whatever. People aren't going to report the shit. Whatever. I don't know, maybe they're convinced at one point or another they'll have a better point at which to monitor your actual traffic and have a little more control over whether or not you actually pay your taxes. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, continuing on. This one's on Cointelegraph. Helen Parts. This is authored March 28, 2019. So no penis. Study. 14% of major crypto exchanges are licensed by regulators. Only 14% of the 216 global crypto exchanges were confirmed as being licensed by regulators. Regulatory technology RegTech startup CoinFirm found in its crypto exchange risk report released on March 27th. CoinFirm, a London-based regulatory tech firm for digital currencies and blockchain, studied 216 global cryptocurrency exchanges to outline the key risks that can be associated with each platform, as well as to assist monitors in developing necessary regulatory frameworks. Actually, there aren't any, and we'll get into that later. The analyzed exchanges reportedly represent more than 90% of global crypto market activity. In the study, CoinFirm evaluated the exchanges into 7 categories of risk, including license and authorization. Dude, these are permissionless systems. Get over it. We don't actually need your authorization in order to operate. Customer due diligence and know your customer compliance, anti-money laundering compliance, sanctions, senior public figures, jurisdiction, and negative and adverse media. The study found that 69% of exchanges do not have, quote, complete and transparent CDD and KYC procedures, while only 26% introduced AML procedures, such as monitoring transactions or recruiting a money laundering officer. Maybe that's because they really don't give a shit and they just want the business. And you should just get over yourself. CoinFirm also found that 40% of analyzed exchanges do not support fiat currencies and conduct exchanges only between cryptocurrencies. Of the remaining 60% that do provide fiat exchanges, Only 23% had full KYC processes and supported both deposits and withdrawals for crypto and fiat currency transactions, the report notes. Oh, okay, so basically the report is saying that they're fully compliant because they aren't actually interacting with fiat currencies. Get over yourselves. In the report, CoinFirm provided the average composite risk performance of exchanges in specific jurisdictions with the low-risk countries, including countries such as Australia, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Germany, Switzerland, and others. Among the high-risk nations, CoinFirm listed Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Iran, and a number of African countries, and others. United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, Brazil, China, India, Saudi Arabia were assessed as medium risk. Binance Exchange, the biggest crypto trading platform by daily trade volumes, was evaluated as a high-risk exchange due to a long-lasting period of exposure to anonymous cryptos such as Monero, Zcash, the report reads. CoinFirm added that the exchange appeared to have been regularly changing jurisdictions, which infers potential regulatory arbitrage. Yeah, who gives a fuck? Too bad. This is global. Recently, Binance partnered with risk management and compliance firm Identity Mind to address data security and compliance measures for Binance's global operations by enabling Identity Mind's KYC and AML compliance tools. Earlier today, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, CZ, said that recent reports on fake trading volumes on CoinMarketCap are useful for the crypto industry. Let me see what the comments read here. Let's see. First one is by Mark McMillan. That figures. Alexander Roth has LOL. All this centralized exchanges which are trying to hide it. Look at Poloniex, which are owned by the centralized company. Why lie? We are not idiots. Niall Griffin says Poloniex is dead already. Nobody uses it anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Poloniex is owned by, I think it's Goldman Sachs. I think they bought it through Circle, and so yeah, it's kind of dead. Anyway, let me get back to where we were originally going before I kind of trailed off there on the side. And so yeah, the SEC, no action. Yeah, the fact of the matter is they don't really have any actions to perform here, and we'll get into that a little bit here. Let's read the SEC's letter, what they actually had to say about it here. This is the response of the Division of Corporation Finance, Turnkey Jet Inc. Let's see. Incoming letter dated April 2nd, 2019. Based on the facts presented, the division will not recommend enforcement action to the Commission if, in reliance on your opinion as counsel that the tokens are not securities, TKJ offers and sells the tokens without registration under the Securities Act and the Exchange Act, capitalized terms have these same meanings as defined in your letter. In reaching the position, we particularly note that, number one, TKJ will not use any funds from the token sales to develop the TKJ platform, network, or app, and each of these will be fully developed and operational at the time any tokens are sold. So basically they're saying that the whole reason for fund gathering for a cryptocurrency organization would disqualify it from participating in an ICO. That's fucking bullshit. Number two, the tokens will be immediately usable for their intended functionality. Pardon me. Purchasing air charter services at the time they are sold. Number 3, TKJ will restrict transfers of tokens to TKJ wallets only and not to wallets external to the platform. No guarantees it won't be traded on exchanges. Number 4, TKJ will sell tokens at a price of $1 per token throughout the life of the program, and each token will represent the TKJ obligation to supply air charter services at a value of $1 per token. Number 5, if TKJ offers to repurchase tokens, it will only do so at a discount to the face value of the tokens, $1 per token, that the holder seeks to resell TKJ unless a court within the United States order TKJ to liquidate the tokens. And number 6, the token is marketed in a manner that emphasizes the functionality of the token and not the potential for the increase in the market value of the token. Oh, Jesus Christ. This position is based on the representations made to the division in your letter. Any different facts or conditions might require the division to reach a different conclusion. Further, this response expresses the division's position on enforcement action only and does not express any legal conclusion on the question presented. Meaning they can still nail you. They're probably reviewing your proposal right now, looking for points in which they're going to come at you in a year when you've got a few $1 billion under your belt, and then they'll come talk to you. You know, with regard to TKJ, just from the description that the SEC gives of what their services are and what they are attempting to achieve, I don't really see a whole lot of I don't know, usability. I don't know. We'll see what they do, but I mean, honestly, I don't really see a whole lot of utility for something like that. You know, if I can rent a chartered jet with, you know, Verge or Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency, why do I need TKJs? You know, what's the advantage conferred to me? Am I getting it at a discount? And if so, why? Is it just because they're buying bulk services? Is it because they run their own airplane too? You know, I mean, what's going on here? What's the actual deal? Anywho, I think that in the long run, it really won't matter whether or not the SEC really wants to take a bite of them, because, you know, I mean, unless they're actually going to be trading on a cryptocurrency exchange, which I would expect is probably the case. I mean, because really, that's where the value would be found with it. I mean, it's not like you can actually trade it for more US dollars than it's worth, because, well, they've got it pegged, so to say, at $1 valuation. What's really funny to me is I got to wonder by what mechanism they're actually guaranteeing that exchange rate of $1 to one coin. I mean, what if it tanks on the market? You know, what if it goes down to 15 cents on Binance? Are you still going to honor it at $1 at your fucking kiosk? Hell no! You're going to be like, fuck you, I'm not paying. No, I'm not taking 85 cents in the ass right now. Hell no. Not on the dollar. Not on the token. And this is the big flaw with the rationale of trying to combine commodities and services with coins in this manner. You cannot put the intermediary of a US dollar between you and the value of your coin and your customer. You can't do it, because you will get ripped off. Period. Or your customer will get ripped off. One of the two. Probably both. And it'll be like ebb and flow, where you've made money on one end and then you lose it on the other. So yeah, I don't really see this organization doing very well, but that's just my own cynicism. I mean, really, I am all for anybody. If you've got a fucking idea, throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. Go with it, man. I mean, there isn't anybody else in this space that is going by anything more than their faith in their competency, in their code, and in their vision. Now, of course, there are some people out there that are just trying to scam people, and I'll tell you what, the SEC is not an organization that can really differentiate between the two. If they could, number one, they would have kicked these guys in the nuts. Number two, if they could, we wouldn't even need cryptocurrencies. The housing collapse wouldn't have happened because all the reporting agencies that the SEC looks at, their guidance on and whatnot, they would have been communicating the correct information back to the market, and most people would have looked at it and said, yeah, the housing market is just a bunch of bullshit. You're giving people that earn like $17,000 a year per household a loan for a $300,000 McMansion, and that's getting underwritten. You're underwriting that shit. What's wrong with you? I'm going to take my money out of your bank. That's exactly what would have happened. But we have organizations like the SEC, and they got their smell test, and they got their regulations and whatnot, and their licenses and all that other shit. And as long as the company smells right, as long as the organization's reporting looks fluent and legible, and is communicating to them the information that they want to see, the requirements that they have, everything is cool. The building could be on fire 24/7. It doesn't matter to the SEC as long as the smell test is right. It smells like cheesecake, man. Let's dig in. It's not cheesecake though. It's fucking dog turd or something. But the point being that the SEC really can't tell you any more about a cryptocurrency than your neighbor kid can. As a matter of fact, he'll probably take one look at it and say, dude, I wouldn't put money in that if you paid me. Anyway, and with regard to smell tests, it's really interesting when we start seeing organizations or people, entities of their caliber, even from other countries, making comment with regard to the solvency of a fiat currency versus cryptocurrency. And that's exactly what we've got here. We've got this article here on CoinDesk, and it's by Diana Aguilar. So no penis. This is by the title, Venezuelan economist, cryptocurrency is, quote, good money, bolivars are not. This is authored on March 11th. A little Wayback Machine, but I like the title, and it fits with what we're talking about here. So, the adoption of cryptocurrencies in Venezuela, first due to hyperinflation and later due to dollarization, could come to play a role in the country's economic rebuilding. At least that's according to Venezuela's most outspoken economist on the subject of cryptocurrencies, Professor Aaron Olmos, who dissected the reasons for his country's current dependency on the US dollar in a new interview with CoinDesk. A passionate advocate of the benefits of cryptocurrencies, Olmos has lectured about the technology for over 2 years, even leading a program focused on blockchain for IESA, the most prominent business college in the country. With several publications, conferences, and interviews in national television, the economist has demonstrated a passion for teaching the Venezuelan public about the crypto economy and the implications of its adoption. In his new interview, Olmos discussed the challenges of the present economic situation where a devalued bolivar is used as an official currency despite alternatives. In his opinion, this situation, a consequence of decades of poor economic administration, has led to a crisis where the use of cryptocurrencies has been accelerating as the bolivar's decline in value sharpens. He told CoinDesk, quote, "We are in a complicated situation because good money, dollars or cryptocurrency, is available, but it is scarce because people tend to keep it, not spend it. On the other hand, our bad money, the bolivar, it's the one used by law." Added to this, the economist pointed out the fact that cash in high denominations is limited, while bills in low denominations with no acquisition power are issued by the central bank. Quote, "This creates a distortion in the price of goods and services, since the production value is now based on dollars in the internal market," he explains. "Everybody knows it. The bolivars are official currency in circulation, but the actual functional currency is the US dollar. Crypto as a solution." Yet, in the midst of this crisis, Olmos believes that cryptocurrency could help form a solution, in part because adoption is, quote, "already happening." Along with the reactivation of production and the creation of new sources of investment, the answer to the country's economic issues could be introducing a double circulation system similar to the one used in Brazil to overcome its rampant inflation in the 1990s, the unit of real value, URV. This way, the cryptocurrency would carry part of the burden in commerce and share it with the bolivar. Quote, "Given the conditions where we need an alternative element of trust, there's nothing better than a cryptocurrency where an economic policy takes care of making the bolivar regain value and recover its power," Olmos said. Yeah, that's not going to really work. Anyway, continuing. Olmos went on to indicate that he does not believe current laws in the Venezuelan constitution exclude the possibility of using a cryptocurrency for payments as part of a readjustment plan. Quote, what should be done is to recognize its use and to give it some space for development for it to work properly and temporarily," the economist said, emphasizing that the ultimate goal would be to boost the bolivar's value. Quote, "We could even use it in a digital form." No, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to ditch the bolivar entirely. When asked about the possible inclusion of the petro as part of a recovery plan, the economist denies it outright, saying the petro hasn't worked out because it has a structure based on intervention, power concentration, and forced usage. Two visions of one country. Of course, the outcome will be defined by who will make the reins of Venezuela's future. As Olmos puts it, quote, "From January 10th, we have two visions of the same country. As the economist recounts, there's an economic plan for 2019 through 2025 that theoretically includes blockchain and cryptocurrency. Quote, "But this document hasn't been published, nor seen by anyone," he said. On the other hand, it's unclear what position will be taken, as the administration in charge, run by the National Assembly's president, Juan Guaido, hasn't issued further opinions about crypto within the context of their plans for Venezuela's recovery. Actually, I don't think Juan Guaido is actually the president of Venezuela, so it really doesn't matter what he has to say on the matter. As far as I'm aware, Maduro is still running Venezuela, so that's, again, this is just a bunch of bullshit. Now, with regard to the petro, I haven't actually seen a lot that indicates to me that it's doing anything, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means it's not showing up in my Twitter feed. And as a matter of fact, let's look at that a little bit. Venezuela petro. And let's see here. Let's look for something really current. We'll go for past week. Petro in Venezuela, the origin of a cryptocurrency that was ... What the fuck was it? Anyway, that's something that I didn't... Yeah, the origin of the cryptocurrency that was supposed to save the country, and this was authored about 4 days ago. I've never put any faith in the petro, because they were talking about pegging it to commodities, and we've already talked about that multiple times on this show, that commodities on the open market are valued in fiat currencies. So you are having the policy behind the fiat currency in question, whether it be the US dollar or the euro or whatever. The pricing mechanism is determined by another party. And so now you've just added another layer of abstraction that has no real connection to the commodity itself. Because the unit in between, you don't know how many there are, you don't know how many are in circulation, you don't know how many are being issued every day, you don't know these things. You only know what the Federal Reserve tells you about these things. So the possibility of having a 1-to-1 balance with the US dollar or anything that's valued in US dollars it's complete rubbish. It's bullshit. You can't do it. You've got this big ass question mark where you've put a fiat currency in, and that's the question mark is the fiat currency itself. You know, it's almost like the underpants gnomes version of a business plan. You know, where you've got gather underwear, question marks, profit, right? Well, you've just put it in the middle of, you know, you got tokens on one side, question mark, and then commodities. You know, there's somehow some sort of conjoinment between the two somewhere. You know, maybe you're counting the transactions on a blockchain and big whoop-de-doo. It's all priced in US dollars or some other fiat currency, the conditions of which you have only what signals the market is providing to you, and those aren't necessarily accurate from one point to, you know, from one point in time to another. It's something you're basically trying to build a bunch of condos on quicksand. You know, that you think it's firm because, you know, it's flat. It looks like it's land, but you're not seeming to look a little closer and seeing the little pools of water in the middle. You know, it looks dry and whatnot all the way around it, but it's not necessarily dry. You know, that was one of my first discoveries here in Oregon, and it wasn't something that I quote unquote discovered for everybody. It's something I discovered for myself. It was what they call quick mud. And some of you may be aware of what quick mud is. It's a spot where there's like a cauldron of rocks, and they've been filled with water and silt, and it looks just like, you know, solid ground. But you'll put your foot in it, and next thing you know, you're up to your crotch in this hole. And the probability of you recovering your shoe from that hole is really, really low, because every time you move your foot up, right, the vacuum underneath your shoe keeps your shoe down, and it puts enough pressure. I mean, dude, if that thing isn't like really laced on you hard, it's going to come off. It's going to end up in that hole. But yeah, that's quick mud. And you know, these people are talking about trying to structure a currency on top of quick mud. It's not possible. It's not advisable, at least. You know, it might look solid for a moment or two, but before you know it, you'll be up to your crotch in mud, and you're going to lose your shoe. But yeah, Petro in Venezuela, I don't see that being a successful thing. But we're not seeing this contagion of this idea of trying to introduce quote-unquote blockchain into some centralized entity and somehow it's going to make it all better. And this idea, this mind virus idea, it's like it hops from the lower tiered nations like Zimbabwe and Venezuela and all that as far as their economies are concerned, and just like works its way up the ladder, and it seems it's contaminated the EU as well. And I got this article here on CoinDesk.com. EU blockchain group launches with Swift Ripple on board. And this is by Yogita Katari, or Kotri. My apologies, ma'am. And no penis. This is authored on April 4th, 2019 at 4 UTC. Apparently, Yogita is not only cute, but a time traveler. Continuing. Swift, IBM, Ripple, and around 100 other firms and organizations have joined a new blockchain association to promote adoption of the technology across the EU. The European Commission initiative, the new group, the International Association of Trusted Blockchain Applications, INABTA, NATBA, my apologies, is launching Wednesday in Brussels, Belgium. INATBA has been set up as a, quote, global multi-stakeholder forum aimed to bring together developers and users of blockchain technology to promote mainstream adoption across multiple sectors. The association plans to build a framework to encourage public and private sector collaboration, dialogue with regulators and policymakers, and legal predictability, as well as to ensure, quote, integrity and transparency in blockchain infrastructures. No. You don't ensure those things. You provide those things by actually making good. That's the thing. You can't just like stamp that it's good. Put a rubber stamp on it. Yep, this is good. No problem. No. You have to earn the reputation for having integrity and transparency. Continuing. It will also develop guidelines and specifications for blockchain and distributed ledger-based applications. Yeah, who gives a fuck what you have to say about how an application should run? The group also includes other notable members, including banks such as Barclays and BBVA, consultancy firm Accenture, and French beauty product giant L'Oreal. A number of blockchain startups are on board too, such as Ethereum development studio Consensus AG, crypto mining firm Bitfury, enterprise blockchain firm R3, cryptocurrency hardware wallet maker Ledger, and cryptocurrency protocol developer IOTA. The formation of INATBA has been a public arena about for some months. Carlos Kuchkovsky, BBVA's head of research and development for new digital business, said in November that the association could have an important role to play in terms of developing blockchain best practices and standards and, quote, avoiding fragmentation on a European level. Dude, you haven't seen fragmentation yet. Continuing. The business launch today will see several European Commission officials speaking, including Maria Gabriel, Commissioner for the Digital Economy and Society, who will provide the keynote. There will also be panels such as a discussion of the potential of blockchains. A joint declaration of support for members is also being recorded on different blockchains at the event. The European Commission has launched a number of initiatives to promote the adoption of blockchain technology. Last spring, it formed the European Blockchain Partnership, EBP, along with 22 member countries to support the delivery of cross-border digital public services based around the tech. The Commission also set up the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum with Consensus as its member last February. You know what this shit reminds me of? It reminds me of the Bitcoin Foundation. Like when the Bitcoin Foundation was set up, for a very, very short period of time, people took what they were saying seriously. And then they started making statements about, what should be best practices for other miners and stuff. And all of a sudden the miners are looking at it and they're like, you know what? This sounds like you're trying to tell me what software to run on my hardware and how to allocate my... No, I don't think I want to do that. And they quit listening to them as an organization, and they went defunct and bankrupt and all this other shit. But anyway, the idea of people that are not involved in a project dictating exactly what the terms of the project should be, fuck you. Make your own fucking project. If you believe you know what the best policies are, where is your fucking blockchain? Where's your coin? You don't trust me enough to fucking mine it. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to mine? I mean, really now, this isn't some technology that we're capable of sequestering away. It's like they can detect things with regard to nuclear technology, right? If you achieve fission, they fucking know that. They've got graphs all over the planet that are graphing for exactly that. They're scanning for exactly that. But there isn't a scanner in the world that's going to detect when you set up your website and you deploy your code to people through various means, and they initiate and set up a network using that software and mine a currency and trade that currency and transact in that currency. The only time you find out about it is when some exchange includes it in their index, and they're like, hey man, we trade this thing. But there's no actual necessity, no dependency on a third party. The European Commission could just jerk themselves off all day long. They could issue all kinds of memorandums and statements of action and all that other shit. But if you are not complying with it, if you are deciding, hey, I'm going to run the code how I want to run the code on my computer, and you guys can go fly one, there isn't really anything they can do to stop you. I mean, sure, they might break down your door or something like that, but if there's thousands and thousands of you all over the fucking planet, and more importantly, you're productive and you're generating income, are they really going to chase after you? I think not. I think they're going to be looking at the economic displeasure of you doing your financial activities in cryptocurrencies, and they're going to be like, okay, how do we incentivize? How do we provide an incentive to get these guys to come over to us and give us some money? And it's not going to be, how close can I get the gun to their face before they give me their fucking money? Because there's only so many guns out there. Even if you're doing it with drones or robots, there's only so many fucking guns out there to stay on us and make us pay. However, you could actually provide a service. The cost for providing that service would be so cheap by comparison to trying to enforce your will that it in an economic sense, according to the principles of statistical process control, it's not economical to chase after me. It's more economical to provide an actual incentive. Give me something of value in exchange for it than to play this cat and mouse jerk-off whack-a-mole game. We're a decade into this, and the game has not changed. I mean, the memes have changed in a lot of shit that people talk as far as these articles and whatnot. Some of that's changed. There's all this concentration on quote-unquote blockchain. No indication of what blockchain we're actually talking about, you notice. But, they're not the game hasn't actually changed. There are more cryptocurrencies being born out there right now. More people just like you, cobbling together some code, getting some friends together, starting up a network. There's more people doing that right now than there are people actually reporting cryptocurrencies on their taxes. I can almost guarantee it. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And, man, we hit a lot of bases that last time. Although we did play some Static X, we did not play any Wayne Static. I'm not going to be a lawyer about it. I like this one. New Holy War by Within the Ruins. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Corrosion of Conformity with Dance of the Dead. Yeah, and we're coming to the close of this episode. Thank you very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. So yeah, the SEC, whatever they're saying about cryptocurrencies and ICOs, big whoop-de-doo. We don't really need them. The blockchain group from the EU, yeah, again, another unnecessary group saying what they're saying. The fact of the matter is that the central banks are having trouble right now, or at least had a little bit of trouble yesterday, with their own networks. And what does that really tell you with regard to their viability, especially in the shadow of what we've been seeing going on with cryptocurrencies today and yesterday on their price? And price, of course, isn't everything, but it is a communication to us of market sentiment, that people are putting more confidence into cryptocurrencies. Now, whether or not a cryptocurrency actually deserves that by default, I don't believe so. I believe that each one of us is now endowed with the power, the capability to determine our own rate of exchange, regardless of what currency we're even talking about. So, the necessity to stay within one grouping or refer back to only one grouping, it's no longer there. And this is where the people that rely on centralized information and all that other stuff, this is where they're having the most trouble with cryptocurrencies. That this is not a gated community. This is not something where they can point at you and say, "You, get the fuck out of here." No. That condition doesn't exist in cryptocurrencies. Now, of course, if you're trying to pull something quote-unquote fraudulent on its face, yeah, you're probably going to get called into court. But that's only because you're being an asshole and not actually using the technology to its full capability. And so, you really do deserve being in court at that point. Especially when making good has become as cheap as it actually is. And it is with that I want to go ahead and close this one out. Thank you again for listening. As far as our last dance is concerned, we got so much new good stuff. I think we've tapped on a lot of it, but I think we do need some Iron Maiden. They were one of the first albums that I ever owned. Actually, was this one. It's Iron Maiden Killers. And so as far as the last dance, we're going to pick it off of that one. Yeah, Iron Maiden, it's a classic. You just can't get past them, man. If you want to know where a lot of the inspirato for what you're listening today came from, where a lot of it came from, you have no further to look than bands like Iron Maiden and of course Led Zeppelin and all those others. But they're a little bit older. But yeah, as far as our last dance is concerned, I think it's got to be not Another Life. Genghis Khan, Last Dance, here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening. Oh, and by the way, we will be back on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want you all to trade safe, do your homework and watch out for your own bunghole, because not even the SEC can do it for you. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening.